Namaskar and welcome back to Media Scan, your weekend dose of headlines, controversies and perspectives. Viewers, a humiliating arrest, some reprieve from the apex court and in between, a lot of chaos and mayhem on the streets. This is what we were witness to all through the week across media channels on digital platforms happening inside the country of our western neighbors. The question is this just a hiatus in the ups and downs of Pakistani politics, or is this the harbinger of something more serious that is likely to happen? And to discuss these sensitive questions, I have here with me a very special panel of experts. Joining me today, Vivek Karju, well-known former diplomat, author, known to speak his mind across media platforms. You have heard him on Media Scan on earlier occasions. Welcome back, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Also with me, Major General Sanjay Meston. He is an expert on strategic affairs, has served the country in various nations in parts of the globe. He has his own very clear thoughts on what is going on in our western neighbor as well as the subcontinent. Welcome, sir, for joining Media Scan for the first time. Namaskar.
Thank you, Smita.
And also with me, Abhinav Pandya, founder of the Ushana's Foundation, author and expert on the challenges of radicalization in the subcontinent and across the globe. Welcome back, Abhinav.
Namaskar. Thank you.
I'll come first to Mr. Vivek Karju. Sir, there was a lot of talk across media platforms, including social media, about how this time, perhaps for the first time, there is indication of some change in the mindset of the Pakistani people, considering the way they have risen up against the army. But on the contrary, I was reading your thoughts and I found that you are saying that if the army did not strike back with the kind of crackdown they are expected to do, that was a strategic move. Why did you write that, sir?
Look, there is great support for Imran Khan. About that, there can be no doubt. I think the reaction that we saw in different cities of Pakistan on his arrest was genuine.
Right.
Now, the question that I was asking myself was that why did the army allow defense installations, including installations which would normally be protected when there are protests of such a nature, to go undefended? Why did they allow the Corps Commander Lahore's house to be ransacked? Even if the Corps Commander apparently had vacated the house some time ago. Why did they allow the General Headquarters gates to be attacked? And similarly other installations, 2 or 3 other army installations. Clearly, in the normal situation, these installations would, and the Corps Commander's house in particular, would be very, very severely guarded.
Yes.
They would not allow anyone to come near.
Yes.
And the answer that I thought, which I expressed in the article that you mentioned, lay in the fact that they wanted the people of Pakistan to see the kind of anarchy that Imran Khan was actually unleashing on the country. Second, there was talk that Imran Khan had support in the junior ranks of the officer class and in the soldiery. And I think no soldier, no army officer, and we have a general, a distinguished general on our panel, he can correct me if I'm wrong, would ever be comfortable with the symbols of authority of his force being attacked in the way it was. So it seemed to me that the army deliberately wanted to show, quote unquote, the true face of Imran Khan. And this, I think, was corroborated by the statement of the ISPR on the 10th. And it's very interesting. that normally ISPR statements are in English. This is a statement in Urdu, and it says that what the eternal enemy of Pakistan was not able to achieve in 75 years, this group, which masquerades as a political party, has been able to do. Now, of course, there's a certain amount of exaggeration in what it said, but it was drawing a parallel between the activities of Imran Khan and his group and the so-called quote-unquote eternal enemy, which we know means us.
Okay.
So all this led me to think that the army was acting in a very deliberate way.
So, right, I think that raises two questions for Major General Meston here. Certainly, Mr. Karju has made my job easier for me, because the two questions that you have raised, I would like to throw them to Major General Meston. Sir, two questions here. Is it right that Imran Khan still has sympathizers in the middle and lower ranks of the Pakistani army, and therefore the generals, or as they say, the establishment, was a little cautious? Also, do you subscribe to this perspective of Mr. Karju that it was a strategic move not to crack down in a brutal way, so that they could allow that, you know, vision of parallels in the minds of the people, which eventually will help the image of the army rather than Imran Khan? Is that the case?
Smita, I generally tend to agree with Ambassador Karju. In fact, same issue I was asking myself. I have also commanded a division in Punjab, in Firozpur, and I remember the kind of guard I had. So the first question which always came to my mind, firstly, we have stayed in cantonments. Cantonments, entry-exit routes are very well guarded.
Yes.
Secondly, the corps commanders, oblique the divisional commanders, oblique the brigade commanders' residence are very, very well guarded. They have guard who are duly armed. And therefore, I was asking a question to myself, tomorrow if the same situation could happen anywhere, what would be the response of the guard? The response of the guard is that as per the any army act, any person, whether he is your countryman or anyone who raises arms against you or who's becoming hostile to you, you have the full leeway to take the appropriate military action. So that has not been taken.
Yes.
There could be many reasons, and one of the reasons which Mr. Karju has substantiating, I do tend to agree, but there are some other reasons also. This one definitely is one of the possible reasons.
Okay.
The other reasons also could be Pakistan Armed Forces. When I was in Afghanistan, I remember I used to interact with a lot of Afghan youth who have studied in colleges of the schools of Pakistan, and the general response by all these people were that the Pakistani youth is disgruntled with their armed forces. So there was a hatred for the armed forces. Not only that, the Pakistani youth regrets partition. And I happened to also meet some young Pakistanis who were in Afghanistan during informal some kind of meetings, etc. They also substantiated their view. And therefore, Pakistan Army, everyone knows, has been a major say in the running of the country, except that in the recent years, they have not ruled directly. But yes, they are indirectly ruling by controlling the so-called elected government of the day. And this is exactly what they were trying to do with Imran Khan. And Imran Khan is probably the first political person who has taken head-on the armed forces and the ISI. That is something that is very, very remarkable, and therefore the situation becomes more different.
So one of the I want to, if I may stop you here and throw a question to Abhinav Pandya before I come back to you, Major General. Abhinav Pandya, even if it was a strategic move by the army not to have a brutal crackdown on the protesting people, how does it help, you know, the overall image of Pakistan, which is directly related to the image of the army, to have such chaos on the streets and some very minor arrests, not really a very strong kind of action as we witnessed in Iran, etc. And also, do you really think this was a strategic move, or do you think finally Pakistan is at an inflection point when these protests are not mere street protests, but it is kind of a rising up against the army? What would you say?
Thank you so much, Smitaji. Let me try to put things in a slightly larger perspective. First of all, I would like to state that this is a shattering blow to Army's credibility, might, and prestige. And certainly not going much back in the past, but I guess we have to look back to what Pervez Musharraf did by supporting the Americans in the Afghanistan, and that led to the rebellion. I mean, the beginnings of the revolting rebellion and dissonance in the army. Many of the army cadres, mid-level and the junior ranking officers, which had a major Deobandi and Talibani influence among them, they were not happy with Musharraf's decision. Later, if you come down, then the Lal Masjid crackdown and all that
Yes.
kind of created, this kind of a revolt against the army. Finally, we saw that in the decade that started from 2010, these street protests, particularly against the army's might and the challenge to army's might, became much more rampant and much more common. If you look back at what happened after the death of Maulana Qasim Rizvi, the entire Pakistan was on the streets, and he took straight cudgels against the army. Finally, coming to this point, I can say that definitely it is a big shattering blow to army. And it's not just from the Imran Khan, even internally. I can mention the names of those four commanders who are openly against this fellow, this Asim Munir, who is the new chief of army staff. Six lieutenant generals are openly against Asim Munir, and I can mention the names: Asif Ghafoor, Asim Malik, Noman Zakaria, Saqib Malik, Salman Ghani, Sardar Hassan Azhar. Most recently, my sources have told me that ex-corps commander Lahore, Lieutenant General Salman Ghani, has openly, he has proclaimed to not follow the unlawful commands of the Chief of Army Staff, Asim Munir. So this is the state of the internal rift which is happening in the army. But then this is not exactly a very good news for us, because in the ancient Indian scriptures there is a saying called "Ek saap nath to dusra nagnath." So those guys who are supporting Imran Khan, they are the forces who are highly extremist religious clerics, and those who have the strong support base in radical Islamist organizations, terrorist networks. So this kind of a blow to army's credibility, and in the future I see a perpetual decline in the army's role and credibility. And if they are replaced by all these radical Islamist types of constituency, it will be even more dangerous. And while mentioning this, we must not forget that the infrastructure of terrorist organizations which Pakistan created over the last 3-4 decades, including Lashkar, Jaish, and many other or different sorts of TTP and all these,
Right.
they have become deeply entrenched in the society, and they have ready fighters in the range of lakhs of people. So if army,
Okay, can I just come to Vivek Karju on this question, because this really has very serious importance for our country and perhaps the whole of the subcontinent. Vivek Karju, have the people like the terrorist organizations, have they morphed from non-state actors into people who are becoming entrenched in the Pakistani society? Number one. And secondly, as Abhinav just flagged, how much of the happenings inside Pakistan at the moment, no doubt the protest will be quelled soon, but how much of it is a cause of worry for us?
Look, Pakistani society is changing. The mazhabs within Pakistan, the traditional mazhabs within Pakistan are weakening. Even the Barelvis are getting more militant. There is the introduction of Salafism, and the rift between the Barelvis and Deobandis exists, and in some cases is getting exacerbated. Besides, the Sunnis as a whole have started questioning in a more intense way whether the Shias are Muslims at all. So these things are happening. These things are happening within Pakistan. Second, I think there is a certain resentment against the army's grabbing of an enormous amount of resources of Pakistan. After all, the Pakistan army is at once three forces. It is a professional force, and as a professional force, like any other army, it has groups. We don't like talking about it, but in any human organization, and the army is a human organization, there are people who come together, coalesce together, and they have resentments against other groups. So that is a feature of the Pakistan army too. However, that doesn't mean that this groupism within the Pakistan army, would go to the extent of creating a rift in the general staff. I do believe that at the end of the day, the generals will stick together because they know that either they hang together or they hang separately. So that will keep them united. And my second point is that let us not forget that the army considers itself the custodian of the Nazariya of Pakistan. And what is the first ingredient of that Nazariya? It is anti-Indianism.
Yes.
What did this army statement say? It said what the eternal enemy has not been able to achieve for 75 years. This group, which masquerades as a political party, has done so. And who is the eternal enemy? So as long as this narrative is there in Pakistan, the hold of the army will continue. There are these resentments, but I don't think we can take any comfort from the fact that the army's grip is diminishing. The army has acted the way they acted against Imran Khan. What did they do? They allowed him enough of a rope. And finally, when he started accusing a serving Director General of Counterintelligence, Major General Faisal Nasir, and accused him of murder, an attempt to murder, etc. When Imran Khan did that, they said enough is enough. And they showed that whatever the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court may say, they showed their power in a very brutal way. Now, my last point is that
Yes, sir. Quickly, please.
Imran Khan has great support. But I, for one, as of now, am not willing to believe that if it comes to a showdown between Imran Khan and the army, the majority of the people of Pakistan will go with Imran Khan.
Fine.
I'm not willing to believe that as yet.
Right. Point taken, sir. General Meston, Mr. Karju, like many of us know, that what is the eventual result of all this skirmish going to be and who will have the upper hand finally. However, is there any cause for additional worry for India apart from what has already been? And since this is Media Scan General, we do like to keep an eye on the chatter that is going on across platforms. And a lot of voices are saying that considering the mayhem inside Pakistan, shouldn't we try to think about the fate of the people in POK? I mean, doesn't POK deserve better, sir?
Yeah, very true. Firstly, coming on, your one panelist also brought out, the divide in the Pakistan army is apparent. I have no doubts on that. And the generals have got issues, especially with General Munir. So therefore, now what is the problem for General Munir? Let's put it that way, as the Pakistan army chief. He has to now get the army back to unite and, fight for a common cause. And what is the common cause? Rightfully brought out by Ambassador Karju. It is anti-India. And therefore now the cause of concern for India is that they definitely would plan, they would like to strategize certain events in India so that they divert this, whatever is happening within Pakistan, the attention of the people externally to India. And that is what they feel would unite the people of Pakistan. The bashing, what the Pakistan army has, the reputation which has just gone down, to again re-energize that, and therefore something which can re-energize Pakistan army and the people of Pakistan into one nation is something against India. And
no. So is it meant to say that the final person who is going to lose out in this entire chain of events is going to be Imran Khan? The PTI is going to be delegitimized or something like that?
Regarding PTI, see, let me tell you, it is not easy to delegitimize him. Firstly, I'll tell you why. Imran Khan is now a personality cult. He is not like a political leader, he is more than that. So today, people of Pakistan, especially the youth who are so much attracted towards him, they take his anything as gospel truth. And whatever the media or the politicians or the opposition will keep talking about, even these corruption charges, they will just set it aside. They will not believe that. They will treat it as conspiracy. So to, just put down Imran Khan and his PTI as a branded, terrorist organization, I seem it is unlikely. And if it happens, the repercussions are going to be there because the people are today attracted to him more like a personality cult. So
no, but forgive me, General. in the
Yeah.
past, certain leaders in Pakistan who rose as personality cults or nearly personality cults, it didn't end very well for them. What do you think?
No, there is a difference. This personality cult. Firstly, he is very popular amongst the people. Number two, he is the one who's taken the army and the ISI head on. And
Yes.
number three, talks about the foreign conspiracy to remove him. So he's got a very sympathetic view from his countrymen, especially the people. And you see the youth, the ladies, and even very old people and some very young children, even of 11 years and etc., were on the road. So what is this trying to show is that the Pakistan, see, this resentment is, firstly, it is not to show that favoritism for Imran Khan itself. The overdue resentment is against the armed forces, and that has come out in the open.
Right.
And
Point
therefore,
taken.
The Pakistan
Right.
army would like now to unify the Pakistan army by playing anti-India card. That is what we need to be concerned about.
Vivek Karju, is it true that it's not about Imran Khan, the person, or Imran Khan, the captain, the former prime minister? It is about a change in the viewpoint of the people, and this time it may not end the way it ended in the past for the army, sir? Quickly, please.
I entirely agree with General Miston that Imran Khan is a cult. Everyone I've spoken to in Pakistan has said this. But as of now, I am not willing to accept the idea. Things may change in a week and there may be evidence to that effect. But as of now, I am not willing to accept the idea that if the army evokes anti-India sentiment, the people will go with Imran instead of the army. Let us not forget the power of the anti-India narrative, which Imran Khan incidentally has also failed. We've seen what he did and his statements after the constitutional changes in J&K. So, there I feel that we should be very careful.
Yes.
Imran is a cult, but the army's staying power is enormous. In my last point, what has the army done today? It has picked up every political leader, including women political leaders of the PTI.
Yes. All are under arrest.
By doing that, even if they'll isolate Imran Khan. He can sit in Banigala. They'll bring him around and the Chief Justice won't be able to do a thing.
Right.
And they'll reduce him to literally to an isolated fellow. Yes, there'll be a mob. The army will have to control a mob. They'd not like to fire on their people. But I am certain that if push comes to shove, the army, Pakistan army, is no shrinking violet.
Fine. Allow me to quickly come to Abhinav Pandya, sir.
Pakistan till the last, and that is anti-Indianism.
Understood. Understood, sir. Very quickly, last comment from Abhinav Pandya. Abhinav Pandya, as Mr. Karju has just, commented, no matter what happens inside the cities and villages of Pakistan, the one constant which will always remain is the anti-India narrative. And again, perhaps it is a fallback to the anti-India narrative which they will have to take recourse to. It has already started from their statements and various other comments. From your experiences in your travels across the subcontinent, particularly Kashmir and the western border of India, how much of a cause of worry are these developments going to be? And as you were saying, this radicalization factor, is there need to get worried?
Thank you, Smilaji. That's a very interesting question. Definitely, it is a cause of worry because the first step that comes naturally to any strategic mind is that to deflect the attention from the internal turmoil. Pakistan is certainly going to ramp up militancy or maybe some kind of heat up the border on Kashmir area. We have already seen that in the recent past. The militancy is already more or less in a revival mode with the recent attacks in Rajouri, Kandi. And let me put it on record that this new Chief of Army Staff, Asim Munir, he is very religious-minded as per my interactions with the local, some of the old OGWs in Kashmir. And after his joining, he has revived and he has activated the terror training camps. So I guess they are going to, intensify and ramp up militancy in Kashmir. That is one concern. Second concern, the new militants which they'll be sending to Kashmir, they are mostly from the Af-Pak area, those fighters who fought with Taliban, and they are battle hardened, they are mercenaries, and they bring much better training, much better skills, and much better weapons, those ones which were left by the NATO. In the recent encounters also, they were using steel bullets, which are armor piercing bullets. Besides that, they are using American NBDs and other pistols and all that. The third point, which is a matter of great concern, is that
Quickly, Abhinav, quickly, yes.
yeah, just last point. All these radical and extremist groups in Pakistan, they are not just geopolitical assets of Pakistan. Now they are a social menace. They have deeply entrenched in the society. So they can impact the radicalization and extremism in India and the other parts of the country, apart from the Kashmir. Recently, we saw in Udaipur, Kanhaiya was killed, and the killers their links were traced to this Barelvi movement. I'm sorry, I'm not able to recollect the name. This Qasim Rizvi's movement in Pakistan.
Yes.
Yes, Labbaik.
Pakistan.
Yes,
Tariq
so their links were connected to that. Likewise, TTP is also activated, Jaish is activated, and Jaish is a Deobandi movement. India has a huge Deobandi concentration of population. So I don't rule out the possibilities of Jaish lining up with the Deobandi segments in the other parts of India. And they've already stated, Arju sir would know it definitely much better. He was the part of that group, which went to Afghanistan. I was reading that, while my work on Masood Azhar. So definitely Masood has already stated several times that he has pan-India ambitions. So we cannot rule out that possibility. In Kashmir also.
Let us see how it goes. Abhinav, I am afraid I'll have to put a break on this very, very interesting and enlightening conversation on Media Scan this evening. May I please thank Vivek Karju, who was so gracious to find time for us and explain all those nuances, the complexities for the benefit of our viewers. Thank you, sir. Also, Major General Sanjay Meston, who joined us for the first time. We will certainly come back to you again on another show. Thank you. And Abhinav Pandya, always ready to join the show whenever we have asked you. Please join us again. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Viewers, as most of our guests have just flagged, more than what is happening inside Pakistan, the cause of concern for India and perhaps other countries in the subcontinent should be that to divert attention from the mess that is going on within their country, the Pakistani establishment would try to create trouble in other countries, push infiltration, push terrorism, and also try to create a narrative around the world that it is other countries who are trying to fester this kind of trouble inside them, whereas the revolt in the Baloch area, parts of Sindh, even other parts of Pakistan makes it very clear that the unrest lies within their country and not with any other power. On that note, it's time to wrap up on Media Scan this evening. See you again next week. Till then, namaskar.